The state's $47.5 billion budget is now law, and despite criticisms that it cuts too deeply into state services, Governor Rick Snyder says it's a critical step toward growing jobs for the future. 24-Hour News 8's Tony Tagliavia was in Lansing when the governor signed the bills, and he joins us now live from Lansing. Tony?
Brian, we've got to look at what the governor's vetoing here. Before he signed these budget bills this afternoon, he pushed back against critics who charge he's not done enough on jobs.
Jobs budget. This is a budget that's standing up to say the impact, the financial responsibility of the state by us being fiscally responsible, by creating an environment that's going to be stable, thoughtful, predictable, and transparent on the budgeting side, helps create that environment for business and free enterprise to work. To say, here's an environment you want to participate in. Here's an environment you can be confident that if you create a job, you know the rules of the road and how things are going to operate.
Democrats and other critics charge the budget cuts far too deeply, threatening the very future the governor says he's protecting. The budget hasn't been done this early since the 1980s, and while they might not like the funding cuts, it does come in time for schools and cities that start their fiscal year July 1st to make decisions. Governor Rick Snyder did veto what he calls some fairly minor parts of the budget. That includes portions he said involved lawmakers expressing their intent, what they wanted, items the governor says aren't really enforceable. Other vetoes include $4.25 million for adoption subsidies, with the governor saying in part the money's not there for the long term. He also vetoed $600,000 for hiring parolees as part of the state prison reentry initiative. Snyder touted the fact that in putting together the budget that starts this fall, leaders looked ahead toward the year after.
It showed we have reached the bottom in terms of the conditions we had in terms of economic forecast and budget process, and shows we can now move forward in a positive way, that we're getting this behind us in terms of shared sacrifice, because it's about us winning together.
So should school districts not expect further cuts in next year's budget?
Well, again, there are one-time funds being used, but as a practical matter, we hope we're at the bottom point and working through these issues.
One more veto to tell you about in here. The governor is vetoing funding for pre-college engineering programs. We're looking to determine if there's a local impact there. Coming up at 6, we've been telling you about this bridge, the governor's push to build a second bridge between Detroit and Canada. Coming up at 6, you'll hear why the West Michigan business community is somewhat involved in this push, and we asked the governor where that proposal stands. His answer is also ahead at 6. Live outside the Capitol in Lansing, Tony Tagliavia, 24-Hour News 8.